nothing happens.
No.
There's a bland background with some bland corridors with some bland characters doing bland things with just bland.
Oh, Nerdaholics! Hello, and welcome back to our classic Who review series. This time we're going for a bit of a clunker, in our opinion, anyway. I know a lot of people do quite like this story, but we'll see. Yeah. So, how you guys doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Surviving.
Yeah,
Surviving just about. We are going to be doing a classic story from season 19. It's the finale of season 19, and it is Time Flight. Hey!
Yeah.
Now, Harry, why did we decide to do this one? Eh?
Well, because we wanted something we could really take to pieces, but
I can come up with a good theory as to why we decided to do it. Because Calls of the Axos is an episode where they were limited by budget, and it would have been amazing if they had a little bit more, but it was still a great and compelling story otherwise.
Yeah.
This episode that had probably a similar, if not similar sort of budget, but nowhere near the story to back it up, which is why it just fails.
Neither.
Yeah. So
we'll do the usual. It starts with Concorde disappearing. There you go. Me trying to remember details is very boring.
Well, the opening thing is just, it's Concorde. Whee! What's going on here?
Concorde gets trapped in a time
contour.
Falls down a time contour and then ends up 150 million years into the past. 140 million years.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that a little detail you'd remembered from the story? I was really struggling.
Jack's just basically reveling in the fact that he corrected one of us on something about Doctor Who. It happens occasionally. Take
your wins where you can get them.
Yeah.
It's the sweetest meat you have.
Now, obviously, this came after Earthshock and certain events that happened in Earthshock.
And they spend the grand total of 1 minute and 46 seconds on Adric's death, and then it all gets forgotten about after that. So there's a little bit of angst, and then the rest of the story they forget that he's dead.
Yeah, it's almost like
apart from one flashback, but
Oh yeah, it's almost like they're telling the audience, forget about him. He was crap.
Then the Doctor, Tegan, and Nyssa all land in Heathrow.
Yeah.
Once the Concorde's disappeared, they managed to talk themselves into being able to find it, and then they take another Concorde to fly down the same course to go down the time contour to find the other Concorde. So they wasted one Concorde and another Concorde.
This is just gonna be one big fucking free fall. Let's face it, because it's like it was a lot. There's a lot to. Well, I was going to say there's not much to sort of bleed out of this story other than Concords and the Master. Way.
Well, yeah, they come up. They end up 140 million years in the past. They come across this weird situation in which someone's controlling an entity which is fighting against and for. Which at the time you find out his character is called Khalid, and then he inexplicably dies. He inexplicably dies.
It's not racist.
Doesn't die because he suddenly wakes up at the end of the second episode and he's the Master. And then the Master.
No one could tell that from his voice, could they?
This random alien to replace the power.
It's just shit. It's so
bad. They use this alien, which is called the Seraphim, which you can find it. Oh my god! It's like if I try. Okay, I'm going to do my best to try and explain it.
It's a really crap.
The alien's called the Seraphim, and you think it's one entity, and then it turns out to be an entire race, of which half of them are evil and half of them are good. Half of them want to be a part of the Master's TARDIS, and half of them don't. And the Master gets it into his TARDIS to replace the Dino.
What was it? the dynamic core, the dynamo something.
Dynamorphic generator.
Dynamorphic generator
Replaces the dynamorphic generator in his TARDIS with this entity, so that he has the most ridiculously overpowered TARDIS ever, but it doesn't work somehow.
Yeah,
and the Doctor stops. It's really dull.
Well, it's the fact
It's
that
really dull.
he wants it for his TARDIS because he hasn't been to the garage. It's like how did it like fucking how has it been exhausted? Like how you know what I mean? It's like surely if he has the Eye of Harmony in his TARDIS, like I'm assuming all
TARDISes have the Eye of Harmony. That's where they generate the power from. So I don't understand what the dynamorphic generator was.
Mate, no fucking sense.
Like, what the fuck is going on in this story? So boring.
It is dull as dishwater, man.
As
It
far
really
as
is.
my notes go, I'm like episode 1 Concord advert. Shame it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what English cricket is coming to. You know, something that Peter Davison says. Like, oh, he's really interested in English cricket.
Oh, you got fucking Tegan whinging so much. He's like, you promised us the great exhibition.
Oh God. Yeah, she's quite bad. Uses his unit's clearance about the disappearance of Concord. Cool, that's a nice little throwback.
I saw Concord once on the tarmac at Melbourne. So what?
No one cares, Tegan. No one cares.
Yeah, who cares?
And then they've got the terrible blobby grey cloud people.
Oh, what, the plasmatons?
Which are like one of the worst looking monsters I've seen. I mean, the 60s stuff looked better than that. Nessa knows and calls for help. So she's having a bit of a mare.
She's not possessed. Or she's been used as a conduit. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you got... I mean, the pilots are all right. The Concorde pilots. I mean, but they are a little bit hammy. They do really ham it up in the story. There's Professor Hater, who is the expert in hypnosis, who keeps on going on about ultrasonics.
Yeah.
But it's all ultrasonics. That's why everyone keeps.
I do like the interaction between him and Captain Stapley. They're quite good at running off against each other. It's just like a little nice dynamic between the two of them. It's like, if you believe that, well, I don't think I asked you if I did believe it. You know, just little things like that are quite funny.
And then it's like Adric is used as a phantom to stop Nissa, and that was like.
So he never actually went away.
Melker again, the master. A nice little hint to the master before the master turns up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the visitation monsters, brilliant. I don't really need to see them again.
Yeah, it's from the same season. No.
And then it's a grim fake death, and then the master reveal. Dun dun dun. Going to sleep is my notes say going to sleep, because I think I was falling asleep when that bit happened. There's a lot of telepathy in this story. Oh, there we go. Replacing the Master's TARDIS with an alien force over the Eye of Harmony. I put that in my notes.
Hey, there we go.
It makes sense. Typical of the Doctor and his predilection for the third rate. I thought that was a quality line. To be honest, he's one of the ones saving grace. I mean, if I just take this story, like, it's bland. It's really bland from the bottom up. Everyone else is either hamming it up, being awful, or not being given very much to do.
No. And there's a lot of the Doctor going, I'll explain later. All right.
Oh, yeah. We were meant to like count how many times he did it, but we never bothered.
Yeah, I forgot. But it's at least 3 off the top of my head. And 2 from the final part as well.
It's very much a story where there's like, okay, no, mate, you're 4 episodes short of your series. Yeah. You need to do like 4 quickly. So someone just kind of sat down, like, looked out the window, saw Concorde fly overhead, and thought, "Oh yeah, that's
a cool idea."
Yeah,
that's an idea.
Well, it's just I've said this to you guys like several times. It's like you have Earthshock, and then you have this, and it's just like
it's very anticlimactic,
fucking underwhelming for the season finale. It really is. It's like, oh man,
it's almost like season finales in the classic season weren't really a major thing. They were just like, it's the final story of the season.
Yeah, but it's not.
Where it's like, I think we're too spoilt with the new series, where it's like, oh, it's the end of the universe because some giant hole is going to suck everyone out of the universe and all of time. Everyone's time.
Yeah, or it's like, it's a reality bomb. What? Oh, great.
Oh, don't mess with reality bomb. That was a classic. That's going to stand the test of time.
Do you know what? I wish I had my Sutek avatar for this right now, because you'd be getting.
How dare you, Jack?
Yeah. You besmirched Doctor Who with that comment. You know what made me laugh though, when we were sort of going back and forward here, but at the end of part three, where like he goes, "What does this mean, Doctor? It means the Master has finally defeated me." Well, no, he hasn't, because you don't say something like that at the end of part 3 in a part 4 story, 4-part story. It's like, and then literally the first sentences of part 4 is, well, actually, no, not if we do this, this, and this. I suppose they were going for like a big cliffhanger thing, but it's like, no.
Yeah, it was a lame cliffhanger that they had left, and they were like, we need to do something.
Yeah, we need to raise the stakes somehow.
A bit like how Genesis of the Daleks episode 5, they didn't have anything until Philip Shipcliffe was like, grab some of those wires and things and hold it up to your neck, and it'll make it far more interesting of finale.
Yeah.
And everyone complained. But, you know, that's just a story from a much better story that I don't really want to talk about this one anymore.
Oh, I know. We basically said everything we have to say. I mean, I could just go through, like, part 2. My notes are literally this, right? Plasmatons, random particles assembled from the atmosphere. All right. My next line.
Held together by telekinesis.
I thought, think it away. Yeah. My next line is zzz, as in I'm falling asleep, and then my third line is the Master, yay! And that's it for part 2. Benign intelligence, but it's then referred to as general intelligence, so it's not benign, is it? It's like stupid. What else have I got here? I've actually skipped most of part 1. Oh yeah, there's a the whole perceptual induction. Think it away. Yeah, great. And then Sharash Balamanaman Vizan Vizan. Those basically make up my notes for this story.
I mean, this is where I'd be like, yeah, I've got a graph prepared and everything, but nothing happened. So
no.
Okay. This is where we're going to be debating this a little bit. But the Professor Hater doesn't die. I mean, you see his body die, but he becomes part of the Seraphim, so he didn't die, and he pilots the TARDIS.
Yeah.
So it's like
he becomes the Doctor.
And he's the only real person who dies. And then it's like, do you count the Seraphim long dead before the TV series even was aired? Like, where the actual events of the episode...
the Master killed him with the tissue compression.
Yeah, but that didn't happen off... Well, it did happen off screen, but it happened off screen long before anything happened in the episode. So I'm not really counting them as deaths. Like, no,
they're off-screen historical deaths.
Yeah, they were already dead before...
The
events of said episode.
And then the actual consciousness itself, it doesn't. It just goes back to its original planet, doesn't it?
No, the Doctor sends them back. He materializes the TARDIS just before the Master turns up, and then hits him for a straight 6 into the pavilion, as he says.
Pavilion, yeah, because he's a cricket doctor.
Yeah, let's not forget. 140 million years, and the radiation's gone. Oh, okay. And the Master's going to be stuck there, and. You were saying before that it was the end. I don't.
That's why. Funny enough, part 3 I've got one of my notes. Bye bye, Professor Hater, and then part 4 I've got Professor Hater. Hello again, absorbed into the Seraphim life force. So it's like he became one with the Seraphim. So it's like maybe he was reborn. Can you do a reborn count on that? I don't know.
Stop counting it. I'm just going to have it as no one died in this episode because no one died.
Because no one died.
No one died. It was an episode where everybody lives.
Everybody lives. Oh, especially on Concord. Oh dear, that's too far. My last note, because I've just skipped, is just like Tegan's fucking wandering around the airport and then comes back to find that the Doctor's fucked off, and it's like
that was amazing. That's probably one of the funniest bits. But then again, we all know she turns up in the very next story. So
yeah, but it's just the way the pilots are like, I thought you were going with them. So did I. Why did you fuck off to the airport, you idiot? It's like too late.
Also, here's another little fact file. See, I'm trying to find interesting things to talk about. Peter Grimwade, Grimwade syndrome.
Yeah,
he wrote the story. So that
Yeah, exactly.
Producer.
Yeah.
I keep correcting myself the more I look into these things.
Was it a pseudonym or was that actually his name?
His name is Peter Grimwine.
Right, okay. Because it sounded like it could have been a pseudonym, but yeah, fair enough.
I didn't make any notes of any kind. I just decided I was going to just try and troll you both the best I could with all this.
Oh, that's fine. This episode just does its best at trolling us anyway, with just how fucking dull it is. Okay, it is crap, but it's not so much bad as just mind-numbingly boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, where do I even start? Okay, set design. The model shots of 140 million years ago are just bland.
There's nothing there, is there?
Corridors
it's just wasteland.
Are bland. I mean, the most interesting thing in it is the room where the master's pretending to be Khalid, and he's
in the Citadel.
Yeah. That's about it.
That's it. And the bit where they go, where the Seraphim. I'm going to keep calling it consciousness because it just reminds me of a cheap nesting consciousness. But the way it goes,
entity.
Yeah, the entity. Yeah. So they break through a bit of wall to go into where it is. That was all right, I suppose.
I mean, I found it entertaining that we went from gold leotards to silver leotards.
Yeah. There's a little bit of theme going on with these reviews, isn't there? How many leotards have we spot? Leotard count. There we go. We'll do a graph for that. But too late to do one now. But next time.
And then you've got the story itself, which just interesting. I just found the whole thing just like what am I doing watching this? This is
it's just like you said the other day. It's just one big advert for Concorde.
Well, yeah,
British Airways.
And it doesn't exist anymore, so
yeah, exactly. It's like, what can we do that we haven't sent back in time before? Concorde? We'll send that back in time.
Let me pose an interesting hypothetical to the pair of you, seeing as you're more familiar with this than I am. As in theory with like the whole rewrite thing that we do every now and again, what would you change about this episode to make it better?
I wouldn't include it at all, to be honest. That's a cop out. I would have it end with Earthshock, and then that's it. But if we have to do it, that's a good question.
You've got those 4 episodes. There's fewer changes as possible, but what could you do to make it better?
Change the design of the plasmatrons.
Yeah,
they bug me. And there's weird cloud design that they have when they surround the person, and then this horrible effect starts, like some bubbly cloud thing, and then it sort of whisks them away. I would change that to say something a bit easier. Hang on, a bit like Face of Evil, where you see Tom Baker's face, that kind of like some kind of like weird jump. Yeah, like a weird representation of a human being, but not these weird kind of like giant bogies, big giant
slimy bogies. Yeah.
That'd be the first change.
I'll change the music. Oh god, yeah. Sorry, the music in this episode it's just so screechy. I don't know about you guys. It was just so like obnoxious. It's so loud. Again, it's loud, loud. So yeah. So I'd make it a bit subtler, probably in that sense.
Strange alien noises, but the problem is doing strange alien noises doesn't just work if you just do strange noise. You've actually got to do a bit of a theme or some sort of musical score to make it feel like it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or something
and I probably would have made the Citadel that the Seraphim were building 140 million years ago just look a little bit more interesting than just grey bricks.
It's the control room. Yeah.
Well, it's like you've got this grey background landscape with a grey building sitting in the middle of grey grass and grey rocks, and I was just sitting there like, this. I can't think of any other words. It's bland. It's really, really bland, and maybe just a bit of design and a bit more interest.
Well, the thing is, right, they could
liven it up just a little bit.
They could have done so much with it, because if you think about it, right, they're hallucinating. So then you think, right, what can we do to really mess with them? Well, we'll do some interesting things, rather than just think that they're still on the airport.
You've got something there. It really would have worked a bit better if they'd had a bit more of Heathrow.
Yeah.
As in, instead of like, the Doctor shattering the illusion straight away, and we didn't even talk about this earlier. So, in the very beginning, they get off the plane, and all of them think they're in Heathrow still.
Yeah,
and he manages to sort of just get rid of it. If they'd actually spend a bit more of that first episode, it's in Heathrow.
Like, are they there or are they not?
Fake Heathrow, in which they spend and maybe an episode of him deconstructing it and getting them to break out the illusion would have made that a little bit more interesting. Maybe, I don't know. It's one of those. It's such a hard to make this story better than it is. It's like incredibly.
Right, I know what you mean, because there's nothing much to go on with it, because it's like other than the stuff with the Master, which I wouldn't change that much, to be honest. Maybe
the Master's frustration with the Doctor's TARDIS is brilliant. Like, he controls at one point. It's the best thing in it.
It is, and it kind of reminded me a bit of Claws of Axos, where they're like, exchanging gadgets and stuff like that. It's like, okay, so they're harking back a bit to that. That was quite funny. I don't know about old Khalid. I'll be like, I don't know. It just seemed a bit too silly for me, shall we say? I mean, that's my opinion. He's had better disguises, put it that way, I think.
Up to that point, until it's revealed that it's the Master, it's like why Khalid just collapses and all this stuff comes out of his mouth. It was like, I don't know what's going on. And then like the Master gets up and says, "Oh, you don't know what's going on, do you?" It's like,
no, Doctor, you really don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's like, what about if it's a mask? Why have all that shit come out of his nose?
He really, really committed to the bit. He did.
Yeah.
Grim.
You kind of think like as soon as he says like, "I need the TARDIS key," you're thinking, "Oh, that's the Master." You know what I mean? It's like you can tell from his mannerisms, especially considering he turned up already at the beginning of the season. So it's like, okay, there's something going on. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about them? They were not very continuity heavy, but obviously they referred back to stories from the same season. Like, oh, so how did you escape Castrovalva then? And then obviously like with Earthshock, oh, that's what we did with the Cyber Leader. Do you think that was necessary in this story? Do you think it should have just been like standalone?
Well, there had to be some kind of acknowledgement of Andric's death.
Well, yeah.
And 1 minute 49, I thought was a little bit. I mean, we may not like the character.
Well, no, but it needed a bit more time to. They need a bit more time to mourn.
Just sacrificed himself,
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers.
But that just compounds the fact that I just think it was a mistake having this tacked on at the end of the season. I suppose they were trying to give some sort of light relief and have it be like,
it's not even light relief. It's just
anticlimactic.
It's uninteresting. The set design's bad. The characters, the story, the writing, everything about this story is just
bland.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
Well, to answer Sean's question, I'm saying yes. I like continuity and stuff, so I'm more than happy that they refer back to other stuff. Little throwaway mentions of stuff is fine. It helps.
The only thing I would say is if you're watching this, not that one would ever recommend watching this in isolation, but like for example, if you say, "Oh yeah, stick on Time Flight" if you haven't watched Doctor Who before, and then they go, "What's Castrovalva? Who's Adric? What's Earthshock?" Do you know what I mean? I think it's one of those stories that you kind of have to have seen the rest of the season in order to kind of appreciate some of it, I suppose. But I might be wrong.
It's one of those few classic Doctor Who stories which doesn't really stand alone on its own.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean that can be bad. I think it's a bit. But this is me. What's the next point of discussion for this? Your 6 points. Do we do that?
Well, normally characters and stuff, but to be honest, I don't think there's really much point.
We're gonna get through it quite quickly, I think.
Well, Peter Davison is doing his best in this story. Nissa being in contact with the Seraphim from almost the very beginning of the story is just a bit.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe because she's
really odd.
But then so is the Doctor. So I don't know. I think if they were good, that's probably what they thought. Oh right, well it's the TARDIS crew problem, isn't it? We've got to give someone something
to do.
Yeah, so we'll let her do that.
And then you like you say, Tegan in this story isn't great.
Yeah.
And still wearing the airline uniform. And her accent slips in this episode quite a few times.
Yes.
She wasn't trying, was she? Wasn't trying.
Of all the characters I can think of, there's the three pilots. I'll say the pilot. There's the pilot, who's second in command, and the engineer.
Yeah.
Can't remember any of the characters' names.
Captain State
It's just I don't care. I don't care about anyone in this story. Maybe Professor Hater. He's the one character I can remember the name of.
Yeah.
The University of Doncaster.
There's one line in part 1 which I thought was quite witty, where the Doctor goes about the Concorde. He's like, "This thing's smaller on the inside than on the outside." It's like, "Oh, I saw what you did there." Well, that's quite witty, but the rest of it was pretty near. Oh no, winging a prayer, Captain, in part 4. So, you do it again, Doctor. Yeah, not quite Tom Baker levels humour though, is it? Really? But never mind. And I was saying to Jack beforehand, we were just talking a little bit about it. When the Captain goes to the Doctor as they're coming back, he goes, "Concorde, Doctor, finest aircraft in the world." And in my notes I've put, "This hasn't aged well." Unfortunately.
Doesn't exist anymore.
No. Yeah, it's a shame.
Really, until they started catching fire in the sky, you know.
Yeah, until like
everyone dies when it crashes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're done with characters then.
I mean, Master
was the best part of it. Again.
A little bit.
Yeah.
The Master, you say, he's doing what he can with what he's been given.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true of all of them.
Was it the time? What was it? The dynamorphic thing, and then he had the time limiter. Was it the time limiter?
Flux.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's like, okay, I'll stop what I'm doing now, and we'll swap a bit. We'll just swap these parts, and I'll be on my merry way. Oh, it's all right. I'll just send you back.
Au revoir.
All right. Well, of course, he'll obviously come back soon because he always is.
Is he?
Yeah. So
he returns in the 5 Doctors, doesn't he?
Is that his next appearance?
Pretty sure it is. I can't think of the story of the Master in. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong.
King's Demons? Or was that after?
Oh, he does turn up in King's Demons just before. That's the episode before. I forget that 2-parter.
Yeah. That's
it's awful. Another awful Peter Davison episode. I wasn't wrong what I said at the end of Floors of Axos.
No, this is like coming back to what we decided.
Definitely is awful.
We thought, right, we've done 2 amazing ones, one pretty good, and we thought, right, let's do a clanger, and we've been suffering for it ever since.
Oh God, yeah. I watched this episode twice.
Fucking hell.
Because the first time I actually watched it just out of pure Doctor Who enjoyment, as in, I just want to watch the story for what it is. Yeah. And I
didn't enjoy it.
I bored. And then I was like, I've got to watch this again because I've taken no notes and not paid any attention to anything that's happened because nothing happens.
No.
There's a bland background with some bland corridors with some bland characters doing bland things with just bland.
Well, the thing is, I've watched this relatively recently. I think I watched it when I got the season 19 Blu-ray.
Yeah, I never bothered with that.
Up until then, and I thought, I don't think I'd actually see. I don't even think you'd show me this, Harry, back in the day, because you were like, "There's no point watching this. It's crap." So I thought, "Oh, I'll believe you," but I thought, "Well, I'm going to watch it anyway because it's the end of the season." And yeah, it was just like, again, my main thought is just like, "Oh, what? How could you end this season with that story?" Oh. You just have like the fucking magnificence of Earthshock before it, and then this. It's just like
it's not even that. Even that as a fact makes it even worse.
What's that?
Like the fact that the episode's so good that makes this one so bad, but actually this is just so bad on its own.
It's bad anyway. It's bad anyway. when you compare it.
Comparison is even worse.
It's like, oh wow, yeah, it just highlights how dreadful it is. In our opinion, of course. Like and subscribe.
This is a widely held opinion for most people because
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I actually before we started recording, I put a little teaser on Twitter. I was like, right, this is our next episode. Time for a bit of a clunker. Time flight. And a few people like Daniel put like, oh, it's a bit of a guilty pleasure for me actually. It's like, oh, I still enjoy the story. Some other people, I was like, well, you're not gonna like this video then.
I'd be intrigued to see, the justification for some people's love for the story.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm intrigued to see what they've got to say, but I don't see it. I don't see the love for this. I
can't understand. Apart from Anti-Alien as the master, and if some people are like Concord enthusiasts, then yeah, you're probably going to like the story. But if you want a good episode of Doctor Who, it's not really what I would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to recommend an airport-style story, I'm going to recommend the Faceless ones.
Well, yeah. There's just no comparison there, is there, really?
And that's 6 parts. That's a big thing for me. I'm recommending a 6-part story over a 4-part story, but this 4-part story.
Thank God this was only 4 parts. Do you know what I mean? It was over mercifully quickly.
Well, the thing is, there's nothing that's actually offensive about this story. It's, as you say, it's just bland, and that in itself isn't.
And don't get us wrong, we gush over classic Who, but this is a point we're making, is that there are plenty of shit stories in classic Who as well. We are very aware of this.
Yeah, however, I don't adhere to the mantra that there isn't bad Doctor Who.
Oh yeah.
This is bad classic Doctor Who, and it's not awful, and it doesn't destroy any preconceptions of Doctor Who. If anything,
it's Chibnall Who. Yeah, I've got one in there.
It doesn't do anything. It doesn't push the story forward. It doesn't. Like I said, this is my point about the 1 minute 49 seconds of the Adric's death. You would have thought there would have been a bit more of the angst running through the story, and there really is no angst. No. There's angst for that minute, and it's like, oh, we're going to go to the Great Exhibition, and then it's Adric's death. Oh, we've all forgotten about it now. We're going to go and see some technology from 1850s. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that's our way of just forgetting he ever existed.
And that's it. He doesn't exist for the. I mean, okay, there's the one bit where he's a phantom. Yeah, but even then, they're not even.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit from Keegan. We need to save him. We need to save him, and then this is like, he's dead. That's basically it. And then he walked through it, and he's like he dies twice.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the Phantoms in 5 Doctors.
Yeah. We're just talking about better episodes again now, aren't we?
Yeah. Should we just skip to Jack? What do you give this out of 10? It's your first time you ever watched it, so you didn't have any preconceptions going in, other than our words of warning.
Yeah, we didn't give you any spoilers, so that's still.
Yeah, I managed to stop him from saying about the Master. That must have come a bit of a surprise.
You did, yeah.
You gave me spoilers of it shit.
Yeah, but that's just our opinion, Jack. You don't form your opinion on other people's, although it's shit.
The ground you walk on, I can't live without the pair of you.
Well, what do you give out of 10 of the 2 parts that you've watched
before you fell asleep?
Yeah, because that's all you really need.
I think that kind of goes to speak for everything. I'm going to give it a 3, and I think I might be being a bit generous, but I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah, I think you are being generous.
Because, okay, I didn't get through the whole thing because of just boredom and sleep. But again, that speaks to how bad it is. One of the things we've always said is kind of entertainment has to be entertaining. If it's boring, it's not entertaining.
It's not entertaining.
No. That is just boredom.
Yeah, it's a very simple phrase in saying, but it kind of is very. It's kind of
the worst thing would be if it was if it was like so bad that it was like actually funny, then you could kind of take a little bit more of enjoyment out of it. But no.
Yeah, I didn't bother taking notes. I was going to write notes. So I kind of like said, "Oh, Adric's dead," and then it's like that's like the one thing I started writing, and it's like, "Fuck it, I'm not writing anymore. This is just too much." No. And then it's
came off the road shot, and that's it. Yeah, fucking hell.
like I said, it's not offensive. There's nothing that makes me go like, oh my god, or law breaking in it. So I can't mark it down any further than that if I'm being honest with myself. So three is where I'm going, and I'll hang my hat there.
I'm gonna go for 2 out of 10, purely because it's so boring. I mean, I reserve 1s for episodes that piss me off, but 2, like you say, inoffensive. But like I pointed out earlier, the set design, the model design, the acting, the story, everything is dull, uninteresting. I'm actually feeling really bored even talking about it.
It's just soul destroying, isn't it?
And in fact, I've watched it twice, and you only managed to make it halfway through.
Yeah.
But again, I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Like I said, if I'd watched the whole thing, even knowing everything else, it's kind of like, you know what, I may have marked it higher. But again, like I said, that would have been just being generous.
I mean, maybe it gets 2 because the Doctor has 1 or 2 cool lines, and the Masters is good.
Well, that's actually a nice segue into my rating, because my rating is also 2 out of 10, and there's 1 mark for the Doctor, 1 mark for the Master, and that's it. The end.
Plug this into the leaderboard. See what. Actually, do we have a leaderboard for these so far?
Well, Pyramids of Mars and Robots of Death are both on 10. And Claws of Axos, we all gave
7.
I think we gave, yeah.
And you gave it a 6.5 out of.
It was like between 6.5 and 7. Yeah, so we just said that was a 7. I think overall.
Like I said, I'm giving it a 2 because I know there's worse Doctor Who episodes in the classic series. So this is. There's a couple of.
There's a couple of zeros in there, but all reserved.
Couple of 1s. My 1's my least. At least I have watched it.
Yeah.
And there's a point in there, but yeah, some stories are worse than this, but only because they piss me off. Yeah, they're actually crap. Whereas this is just non-offensive, almost non-existent. It's just
boring tripe.
It's just nothing. It's nothing. I can't describe it like food.
It's gruel.
Gruel.
There's nothing to
gruel. Porridge with no sugar, no nothing on top of it. Just some Quaker's oats, plain, bland.
Good.
It's the ready break of the classic.
I'm consuming this because it's Doctor Who, but
I'm not really enjoying it.
Really enjoying this.
Whereas like Pyramids of Mars and Robots of Death, that's like a fillet steak. You know what I mean? It's like tasty.
Fillet steak served on a mahogany log.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's edible, but not quite dog shite. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't actually taste like shit.
Yeah.
You can really taste the nuts.
It's nothing worth raving home about. It's a bit nutty.
Oh my god.
Well, that's that then. Let's just talk about something else now.
Yeah, at least we can watch something good this time.
Yeah, so what we'll say is for the next one, we'll do a poll, and we were talking about doing like villain stories, 3 Dalek stories against each other, or 3 Cybermen, 3 Sontarans, etc., and just see how that works, and talk about something that we want to talk about next time.
We'll see how long this edited video actually is. I bet it's like 10, 15 minutes.
It will probably be. Do you know what the funniest thing is? It'll probably be the shortest one, but the one with the most views.
Because it's the shortest.
How does that work out?
YouTube algorithm bollocks. That's why.
No, because it's easier to sit through like
attention span
3-minute video than it is an hour one.
Well, if that's the case, we could just do a 30-second videos each episode. Good. End.
Bad. Boom.
That's
Watch
basically
this on the video if you want to hear our opinions.
yeah. That's basically what this is. 10 minutes is for us, for our sort of like standards, is 30 seconds to everyone else. It's really, isn't it?
That's true. Comments, right?
But yeah, anyway, so the next one will be more fun. Or maybe not. It depends what people choose. But we'll stick a poll. Or maybe if Harry's feeling brave enough yet, we'll do live. We'll do a live stream of the next one.
What? What?
I said maybe. Maybe
No.
it's going live right now. No, I'm joking. Because I was saying to Jack was like, why don't you just do it as live and then just don't tell him? I'm like, well, the thing is, if I can't do a live stream live on Skype, I have to do it through StreamYard, and then there's a whole process of sending links. So he'll kind of work it out.
See, what you haven't realised is I've been recording the whole thing on my phone, and like straight to Twitch, just by recording the TV camera.
Good.
Too right. We're all Twitch thoughts now. It's great.
Yeah, even though Twitch is gaming, isn't it?
Well, it's supposed to be gaming, but it's now just filled with people who kind of sit. Well, I say people, moderately attractive young ladies who sit there and basically just kind of become cam girls, and it's really unpleasant now.
Yeah, why can't we do that?
Become babe station, have they?
Well, yeah.
Well, it turned into.
Yeah, get the views where you can get them.
Yeah. That's as well get some bigger picture.
If I was an attractive young lady, I totally would. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I'll never.
Oh yeah, so that was shit. But it was fun. We probably laughed a lot more than we did on ones we like. So I suppose that's one bonus about it.
Yeah. Depends if they like the sound of our awesome voices laughing. Yeah.
Can't get any better than that. Like, share, and subscribe. Oh, that's yeah. Shout out to the Fandom Collective for doing that awesome Fandom Menace collector card thing. That was awesome. Thank you very much for that. That was cool. We appreciate it.
Peace out, guys. You look after yourselves, and I will speak to you guys.
Cheers, Jack. Cheers, Nerdaholics. Until next time.
Bye.